everyone, Cheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Legacy Evolution Beachcomber. Like I said in my short, I put off getting him for quite some time because I thought he didn't look the coolest, and that, that he probably wasn't that great quality. I just thought that my third-party one was sufficient, and there is no point in getting this version of him. Boy, was I wrong. I have only had the a third-party version of him, which is much smaller, and I think I was tempted to get the version that came out before him. I can't remember which line that was. I think it was from Titans Returns. I could be mistaken. Obviously, it wasn't Headmaster. He was just a smaller figure, but I think it was the same line that Sea Spray that I actually do have came from. But man, I honestly passed on him initially. Obviously it's been a while because I relatively recently got him. So I mean, obviously I passed on for quite some time. But I thought that he was just meh. It's like he seemed kind of meh to me, and I was like, I already have one. Granted, it's Legends scale, but I thought that was sufficient. But then I got a good deal on GameStop when I also got, I think it was Mixmaster, but got a good deal, and boy, I'm glad that I got him finally. Because the detail on him, he's just amazing. Like the colors, I mean, I will admit a lot of it is just blue plastic, but the detail on the chest, the torso right there, he's just looks so nice, so clean, and I didn't even need the instructions to transform him. I just looked at the final page to make sure that I did everything right, because it looked a little off, just ever so slightly off. And it's like, nope, I did it right. It's just that the front of the buggy just looks a little weird because of the way the knees go. But this gun does become sort of a bumper. I will say I just would have rather them have a bumper, but then again, with the way he transforms, it would be weird just to have a parts forming bumper. So they gave him a little gun, which, if you know anything about the character, he's more of a pacifist. I mean, I'm sure he's fought before, but he'd rather not. And this is, of course, a Paradise Bird from the Golden Lagoon episode, if I remember right. This is like that was the episode where he really shone. Anyway, this little bird can perch on his shoulder, and it's just this little green thing. It's like a soft rubber plastic, and it does have painted little eyes, which I think is pretty neat. As far as his face, it's obviously just molded blue plastic with gray for the visor. So, I mean, it's somewhat plain, but it still doesn't look bad. It actually still looks pretty good. Obviously, the tires are pinned in. Like, this guy has a lot of pins. I think Legacy Evolution, around that time frame, I think, and maybe a little before, prior, depending on the figure, was when they started really going back to the pins and making them higher quality figures rather than all the problematic corners that they were cutting. But this is one awesome figure, and one thing I just realized, not just, but realized not too long after opening this guy, is that he has rubber tires. Like, that just blows my mind. Like, I mean, they easily could have just made these all plastic, but they put rubber tires, and it was a very welcome and pleasant surprise. Maybe they decided that since we're having to use rubber to make this little bird, may as well make 4 tires, or maybe they're like, we're making 4 rubber tires, may as well include a little rubber bird. I don't know what the thought process was there, but I like the results, the end results of that. And then if you want to, you could also plug the little bird. And okay, it didn't go off the table this time. That's good. But you can plug it into little holes. But I guess the holes right here on his arms aren't quite big enough for him, but the shoulders back there you can plug the bird into for his alt mode. Anyway, articulation. The head is on a ball joint. You can look up and down. Gets a decent little bit of wibbly wobbly. Can do a full 360. Arms can go out about that far before the tires kind of get in the way, but even without the tires, it still can't really go that much further. Full 360. Bicep, more like elbow rotation, but given the shape of the arm, it's not that noticeable. A little over 90-degree bend at the elbow. He actually, wow, I did not know he had wrist rotation. That is actually surprised me. He does have wrist rotation, but I thought it was just molded in just because of the way the arms are shaped. So that is a very pleasant surprise, just like the rubber tires were. Waist rotation, legs can go forward that far, back that far, thigh rotation. He can do the full splits, about 90-degree bend at the knee. Before this leg panel gets in the way, which they didn't even have to do in the past figures. They might not have even bothered with a panel to flip over, but that panel gets in the way, so you can't get more than that. So just under 90 degrees and a decent amount of ankle tiltage. And if you'll notice, it is the buggy frame and seats that form his feet, but it's not that noticeable. So I think that is like a cool way to hide those, but you still get the chonky robot feet from like the original cartoons. I think that is pretty nifty. So I guess it's time for transformation. And here we have Beachcomber in his basic buggy mode. That's without any accoutrement, which would just be the little bird and his gun. But still a very nice buggy. There is a little 5mm port if you wanted to plug another weapon in there, but is specifically in the case of Beachcomber, and there I am being Butterfingers. It seems like I can never do a video without at least dropping something. Anyway, the bumper gun becomes a bumper like that. It just tabs into place, as well as that little 5mm peg. The only downside is that, you know, it's kind of obviously a gun. And then that 5mm peg right there, it would have been nice if they had painted that black instead of leaving it gray. But it's not the end of the world. But this buggy mode looks really cool. I do like the way the cage is formed. I will say my only concern is that potentially maybe one day one of those pegs will snap. So you probably just need to be a little careful with that. But he does roll pretty well. There is a little bit of stiffness to it, but it's still really nice and has decent traction. And then little birdie can sit right there. The headlights they're okay, but I mean, I understand why they're gray, because you don't want them silver or highly detailed, because then that kind of pulls away from the toon look. But I still think that this is really cool, and I'm sure that even in the toon, I'm sure it was still similar. Even if it was somewhat more metallic, I doubt they had like a whole lot of detail on the buggy's headlights.
So that's about it for Transformers Legacy Evolution Beachcomber. I absolutely recommend this figure to anyone that is at all likes this character. And if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.